Good morning, everyone. Today, we'll be studying about the technological and institutional reforms in agriculture and why it is mandatory. Why is it, why it is required, why it is required to bring out the changes in agricultural sector in India. Why? Because 60% of the population of India, it relies on agriculture. It is dependent on agriculture, and yet people in the agricultural sector, the farmers, they suffer a lot, and often these farmers, they end their life, they commit suicide because they are not able to make the ends meet. So to avoid such kind of circumstances, to make people economically more stronger who are engaged in agriculture, we need to bring out certain reformations. So let's talk about it now. Agriculture provides a livelihood for more than 60% of its population. So the sector needs some serious technical and institutional reforms. The Green Revolution and the White Revolution were some of the reforms initiated by people to improve agriculture. Technical means through technology, farming could be done. These farmers still, monsoon plays a very important role in farming for the agricultural sector. So with the help of technology, if something could be done so that these farmers, they need not to only depend on monsoon, but still they can grow crops in other seasons as well. Institutional reforms, institutions where these farmers could be made aware with the new farming techniques. Now, initiatives taken by the government, they have introduced Kisan credit card so that Kisan, these farmers, they don't have to take loans from many lenders who misuse their innocence. Personal accident insurance scheme so that government can insure their crops as well. Special weather bulletins and agricultural programs for farmers on the radio and television were introduced. The government also announces minimum support price, remunerative and procurement prices for important crops to check the exploitation of farmers by speculators and middlemen. These middlemen, wherever they are involved, they often exploit farmers, and they even, they do not play an honest role towards the government as well. So the government has set up certain minimum prices for the crops so that these farmers do not suffer. Contribution of agriculture to the national economy, employment and output. In 2010 to 11, about 52% of the total workforce was employed by the farm sector. The share of agriculture in the GDP is declining, though maximum number of labor is involved in primary sector. Its contribution in GDP is very less. Whereas if we talk about the tertiary sector, the workforce is less, but the contribution is more. Contribution in GDP is more. Indian Council of Agricultural Research, agricultural universities, veterinary services and animal breeding centers, horticulture development, research and development in the field of meteorology and weather forecast, etc., are a few initiatives introduced by the government to improve Indian agriculture. Now we'll just have a brief review of whatever we have studied till now. Firstly, we have studied about types of farmings, which have been divided into three types: primitive, intensive and commercial. Primitive subsistence farming, intensive subsistence farming and commercial farming. Over years, cultivation methods in India have changed significantly depending upon the characteristic of physical environment, technological know-how and socio-cultural practices. Means the way, the what kind of techniques are used in farming. At present, in different parts of India, the following farming systems are practiced. Again, the very first one is primitive subsistence, intensive subsistence and commercial. Now, what is the difference between these three patterns of farming? We'll be studying about that now. But before that, did you know Agriculture is the largest livelihood provider in rural India. Now, points to remember again, types of farming depending upon the geographical conditions means where the crop is being grown. Whether what kind of crops will the weather support, what kind of crops could be grown according to the suitability of the soil, and whether the technology is available or not. So, subsistence and commercial. Now, primitive subsistence farming. This type of farming is still practiced in few places in India. It is practiced on small patches with the help of primitive tools. Not machinery. It's not technologically advanced machineries are not used. Primitive tools are used. Simple tools are used for primitive subsistence farming, and they are practiced on small patches of land. If you can see. This type of farming depends upon monsoon, natural fertility of the soil, and suitability of other environmental conditions. It is also called slash and burn cultivation. Farmers clear a patch of land and produce crops to sustain their family. When soil fertility decreases, the farmers shift and start cultivating in the same way on a fresh patch of land. Now, in today's world, what is happening? We are using the same land. We are using the same land, and for fertility, we are adding fertilizers. Artificial fertilizers are being used, right? So, a lot of pressure is being exposed. The same land is being exposed to a lot of pressure. And slowly, what is happening? The fertility of the soil is decreasing. But in this kind of farming, what happens? You divide the lands into patches. You grow crop on one patch of land. Once the crop is grown, you leave that patch of land so that it could regain its fertility, and you start using another patch of land. Why? So that that particular portion of land can regain its fertility naturally. Intensive subsistence farming. This type of farming is practiced in areas of high population pressure on land. It is labor intensive farming, means labors are involved, where high doses of biochemical inputs and irrigation are used for obtaining higher production. Though the right of inheritance leading to the division of land among successive generations has rendered land holding size uneconomical, the farmers continue to take maximum output from the limited land in the absence of alternative source of livelihood. Thus, there is enormous pressure on agricultural land. Now, first of all, why it is a high population pressure on land means that the amount of land is less, and the pressure to which the land is exposed is more. You can say because the same land again is being used by these farmers. The land holding size, it decreases from generation to generation. For example, if 4 acres of land was owned by one person, when he divides it into his son, and when his son divides it into his son, the land holding size, it becomes smaller. Though the land holding size is becoming smaller, still they don't refrain from practicing agriculture on it. They keep on practicing agriculture on the same land with the use of biochemical inputs. With the help of the irrigation facilities, the land is being exposed to high pressure. Though the land is uneconomical, but still they try to make it that much productive so that they are able to survive. They try to produce at least that much of amount with which they and their family could survive. Commercial, again, it is used for business purpose. Large area of land on a single crop is grown on a large area of land, and it is particularly used for commercial purposes, means for business purpose. In this type of farming, high doses of modern inputs like HYV seeds, chemical fertilizers, insecticides and pesticides are used in order to obtain higher productivity. Right? Single crop is grown on a large area. Now, these are the food grains, types of crops actually which are grown in India. Food grains, the commercial crops, the plantation crops and the horticulture crops. Now this is the mind map of the chapter agriculture. And your chapter ends here as well. So class, what you will do is you will go through the chapter, read it thoroughly, create your own mind map and share it with me latest by tomorrow. Any query in the chapter, you people are free to raise your questions in the WhatsApp group. Thank you.